The cameras actually were a really pleasant surprise the first day of shooting, because we went out on the opening scene and a snowstorm came in and caught us, unbeknownst to any of us. We made great advantage of it with very long lenses. We shot the opening scene with an Optimo lens at full extension 290, and it, I think, came out beautifully. And of course, we were up against the light. As the scene progresses, it gets dark as Chase goes to the barn. So we had to gain up a lot of the shots in +6, +12 dB, and they worked out great, particularly when he is riding the horse and it started getting very dark. Using the F-35 and in conjunction with the F-23, both cameras held their own and did not get noisy in the very low light levels at the end of the day. We used a Steadicam a bit in the opening to see how the F-35 would perform in a Steadicam configuration, and it worked great. I mean, because you can dock the SRW1 on the back of the camera, you can balance it and rebalance it for a number of very good configurations, including Steadicam. As you look at the difference between the two cameras, you can, in the barn, I think, see the most specific difference between an F-23 and an F-35. When we went out to shoot the rodeo, it really got into some nasty conditions. I mean, it was an extreme, it was basically a blizzard. The low angle in the barn is very wide, very deep depth of field F-23, which we wanted, and then all the close-ups, the macro shots are done with the F-35 specifically for the shallow depth of field using a 100mm macro, I think. We had very little protection for the cameras. They did get snowed on pretty heavily. Didn't have a single problem all night, and in fact we set it up so that we'd have a 6K par backlight for the rodeo rider, which is about the worst case scenario for a digital camera, and it did not streak or flare or anything bad. In the barn, we did a lot of close-up work with saddles and bridles, and we wanted to see a very shallow depth of field. The F-35, as far as we could tell, and we pushed it pretty hard in the races with all the horse's legs and everything else, we couldn't see any motion artifacts. We tried for them. We tried everything from 1 frame to 50, and it looks great. From a motion artifact standpoint, the camera holds up beautifully. One of the most impressive things about the camera is just the simple integration. In the racetrack, it was a very interesting problem because we had a number of races. We shot the races live, so we're shooting around real horse races. These are not staged events, and the horses are very touchy. So at points we had, say, 10 minutes to travel up to half a mile with cameras, with 4 camera crews going in different directions. And so everybody had to be ready on the moment, or the race is going to go by. There's not much more difficulty than, you know, a 800mm lens with a horse running directly at you with a shallow depth of field. But the guys did a tremendous job, and a lot of that was due to the smoothness of the interface of the cameras. The F-35 has basically a knob on the side of it that you can just turn, and you can ramp from 50 to 0, which was really amazing, the results that we got. We shot at all different speeds, so we generally had a very limited time, so we shot everything logarithmic at the track with all the operators and ACs establishing their own exposure, focus marks, and camera moves on the fly. So we had to have a very fluid working environment to do that. And the dynamic range of the F-35 is amazing. I think we figured it at a good solid 12 stops, particularly in harsh lighting, daylight, like at the track. It held up very well. And then you also look at, what happens in low light, because A lot of the digital cameras deliver a beautiful image, but when you get into low light, you fall right off the edge of the earth. In the case of the F-35, the low light characteristics of the camera are fantastic. Very low noise. You can go up to plus 12 dB, which is an effective ISO of easily 640 at night, and still have the dynamic range and low noise that gives you a very film-like image. Because we wanted something completely different than the snow scene or the racetrack or the rodeo. We wanted like really rich, green, very vibrant colors to see about the colorimetry of the F-35, and it really came out beautifully just in terms of the color response and the gamma. In broad daylight, absolutely no problem. The dynamic range of the camera is really amazing. And then with the Ultimate Arm, the camera was awesome, because then you've got the speed and flexibility of the Ultimate Arm, but you've got the quality and the dependability of the F-35. The Ultimate Arm's a pretty amazing device. Gyro stabilized, can drive over rough terrain and everything else, and your camera's locked on. So then it becomes a matter of the interface, and the interface between the camera and the Ultimate Arm was great. It was absolutely effortless. And in addition, everything wasn't shot with the Ultimate Arm, so removing the body, rebalancing it, and getting it onto sticks right away was really easy, because it doesn't have a whole bunch of cables all over it. You're not tethered to an external deck. So you basically have a digital film camera there. It felt like film. It felt as easy to shoot as, say, a movie cam, where you can take the SRW1 and dock it to the back and balance the camera out properly. And basically 2 ACs can make it happen. Overall, I think the F-35 is an amazing camera. It's dependable, it's durable, it's got great dynamic range. The filmic quality of it, depth of field, film lenses, feels exactly like shooting with an F-23. So it's really an amazing camera in all conditions. We put it through snow, we put it through heat up to 120 degrees on the racetrack, put it down to about minus 20 degrees in the snow at night. We really exercised the F-35 very, very hard, and compared it with the F-23 throughout Thoroughbred, and it held up beautifully.